Bring in former RNC Communications Director Doug Heye. Doug, good to see you, sir.
Good morning.
Thanks so much for joining us. So you have not been a supporter of Donald Trump. I'm reading your most recent note, basically saying, as a Republican operative, here's why I won't support Trump if he's the nominee. You still feel that way?
Still feel that way. Look, I think Donald Trump is a disaster for the Republican Party. Frankly, I think he's bad for the United States of America. And you look at the rhetoric that we've seen with him, targeted towards minority groups, targeted towards George W. Bush as recently as Saturday, talking about impeachment. I think that may be one of the reasons why we see Ted Cruz beating him in the national poll. But as John Roberts said, it's all about the state polls at this point. He's still leading. Look, he's got a compelling message that resonates with a lot of people who have a lot of reason to be angry with Washington.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting because a lot of people have the feelings that you do. However, when you look at the numbers, the people are supporting him. So, I mean, you know, what do you think happens in South Carolina or Nevada? How important are these next two contests? And do you think we see some dropouts and some changes in these numbers?
Yeah, it's critically important. I think we will probably see one or two dropouts, and we need to if Republicans want to be able to coalesce around a candidate who's not Trump. We need to see some people start to drop off, as we saw after New Hampshire. Look, it's always hard to predict these things. My guess is that Donald Trump still wins South Carolina. But one of the really important things that happened with the Nikki Haley endorsement was really the timing of it. By doing so just before the primary, it really gives Marco Rubio a big lift of momentum. I think a lot of people who, like myself, watched the interview with Governor Haley and Marco Rubio on Greta Van Susteren last night, saw a positive potential ticket for November. That's a Republican ticket that wants to expand the party and wants to win.
Yeah, and you think that, Lenore Hawkins, you think that Rubio did really well last night?
I think it was one of the best performances he's given in that, rather than in the debates where often he seems to be doing his repeated talking points, and it just doesn't come across as genuine. Last night, he really showed us more the person that he is.
In a town hall.
In a town hall. He did a much better job, too, of explaining how well he understands more of the complex issues and explaining them, like his discussion on the Federal Reserve and how it's not supposed to be supporting financial markets was well done and I think well received.
Jagan.
With the Nikki Haley endorsement for Marco Rubio, and I'll point this out to Doug, I went through some of the numbers in this Wall Street Journal poll. Trump's support among women has plummeted just since January.
Isn't that interesting?
And this poll was taken after that debate last weekend. 18% picked him as their choice, and that was down from 36% in the January poll, which is a big number. And also in head-to-head matchups, Rubio and Cruz going head-to-head with just the two of them. Trump loses to Cruz by 16 percentage points, and Rubio also beats Trump by a very wide margin when they poll them head-to-head like that.
What do you think, Doug?
Yeah, that's absolutely right, which is why we need to have 2 or 3 candidates instead of 6 candidates. As we winnow that down, I think it gets harder for Trump. But the longer we go, especially as we go into the Super Tuesday SEC primaries, the more candidates there are, the better it is for Donald Trump. But ultimately, we're talking about that South Carolina poll. We got to remember there are about 30% of Republican voters who are still undecided. Nikki Haley's at 84% with Tea Party Republicans of approval rating. That's a massively high number that helps Rubio lift himself up from, say, a 4th place to a 3rd place, maybe even 2nd.
Yeah, that's a big number in terms of that group. Anastasia Amoroso, in terms of investors, markets, have they begun to focus on this yet?
I don't think so. I mean, I guess we did see some reaction to Ted Cruz leading as well as Bernie Sanders leading, but I don't think the markets are honing in on this yet, because the reality is that the configuration of who's in the White House and who's in Congress doesn't quite matter for the markets, but what it does matter for is individual sectors and individual policies. But the question that I have is, clearly Marco Rubio maybe has some momentum going on here, but what does it take to build on this momentum? Because one interesting thing is in the recent Bloomberg poll, even though Donald Trump is leading as the first choice, the second choice, the top candidate, is actually Marco Rubio. So it's like if Trump actually doesn't win or drops out, it seems like Rubio has a huge advantage. So the question to Doug might be, what does it take to build on that momentum?
What do you think, Doug?
Yeah, I think what it takes is a good showing in South Carolina to encourage other candidates to get out of the way. And if he doesn't have that strong performance, those candidates won't get out of the way. We'll probably be having this conversation again in a week or two. But as the field winnows down, if it winnows down, I think it really particularly benefits Marco Rubio.
Yeah, it's been really hard to break out of the Donald Trump, you know, talk and sort of light. I mean, he is dominating on every contest.
It shows you that the Republican Party really has some work to do to not have something like this happen again. Because if you hear so many people in the Republican Party saying that Donald Trump is a very bad thing for the Republican Party, then the Republican Party needs to make sure that that kind of a situation doesn't happen again.
But
Clearly,
you can't say that. If the people want him, the people want him. And we keep saying the Republicans don't want him.
But why do they want him?
What the establishment wants, Doug. The
Yeah.
people,
You know,
he's in the lead.
You know, campaigns always say that you don't win campaigns in Washington, and it's absolutely true. It's never been proven more true, I think, than what we've seen in the past 6 months.
Yeah.
If Washington could control things, obviously Donald Trump wouldn't be here, but he's dominated the media airwaves, he's defined the conversation, and he's done really well because his message does resonate with an increasing number of voters.
Especially the immigration. Did you want to button it up?
I was just going to say that he is such a bloviator. Not only does he not look presidential, but he keeps all the other candidates from looking presidential as well.
Yeah, good point. All right, Doug, thank you so much, my friend. We'll see you soon.
Anytime. Thank you.